Devin, do you have a cigarette?
Sure. And here's a copy of my last movie. It's essentially Brokeback Mountain from the point of view of the horses.
Hey, the sun's been up for an hour. Shouldn't we get riding?
Are they still sleeping?
I don't know. I'll check. Ah! Help!
What?
Ah!
What? What is
Run!
it? What is it?
Oh my God!
What?
Oh my God! Run!
Sydney's just revealed there that she is using a growth mindset with regard to her learning things about her job. So at the moment, in spite of being incredibly successful, she's kind of doing what we were talking about, holding on to controlling. But that's a scale thing. So I wanted to read you this, and then I'm going to come to you for an insight. So I'm going to change the word that this book is quoting from to neurodivergent. Okay. The mental function that causes neurodiversity is a gift in the truest sense of the word, a natural ability, a talent. It is something special that enhances the individual. Neurodivergents don't all develop the same gifts, but they do have certain mental functions in common. Here are the basic abilities all neurodivergents share. They can utilize the brain's ability to alter and create perception, the primary ability. They're highly aware of the environment. They're more curious than average. They think mainly in pictures instead of words. They're highly intuitive and insightful. They think and perceive multidimensionally using all the senses. They can experience thought as reality, and they have vivid imaginations. And I'm not being funny, Chris, Peter, Guy, Sydney. That's us, isn't it?
I think so. I'm going to let Peter answer that.
Well, I'm happy to be neurodivergent, if that means I'm not following the crowd all the time. I mean, it does mean trying things and making mistakes. You know, so as Sydney says, you know, you got to try stuff because it might not work. And I was looking at one of my friends 6 years ago. He started a business, a guy called Paramjit Upal. He started a company called And Digital. That was him, plus a couple of other people and an investor. 6 years later, there's 1,000 employees. So it is possible. But one thing, I met him just before he set up the business. And one thing he was intentional. He was designing a scaling business. He knew how it was going to scale and morph. And therefore, it's not unexpected how it was going to do. But what he did do was have that visualization, that vision of where this thing would go. He knew that he had to build something to start off, and he had to have these things around him, but he knew that it could build step by step. So it really is having that imagination and that intentional direction.
Which is the thing which ironically gets crushed out of us at school. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. So my question to you, Peter, now before you go, is what are the typical things you see holding your customers? But so you're a portfolio executive, yeah?
Yeah.
So explain how that is helpful to your connections watching this.
So what I do is I try and work for 3 or 4 different organizations at the same time, but in a long-term position with each one. And it kind of ebbs and flows. And what that means is I can see 3 or 4 different people doing items and work and see the synergies and the differences between. And that helps. That I really love that because I love the variety, but it also means for organizations, they're not having to pay full time for 20, 30 years worth of experience. They get that part time, but they still get all the insight in that period. So that's my background. What was your question again?
Well, it's like, so what is it that stops potential people from using you?
Well, I was actually going to answer a different question. What holds us back, I think, was the first question.
It was the first question, yeah.
And what I've observed, and Chris and Guy, you probably see the same thing, is actually we often hold ourselves back. So even if we had all that knowledge, and I met this guy who was struggling to grow the recruitment in his business, And when we really, really delved, and we have a special way of doing that, of putting people in the hot seat in a really safe and honest environment. When we really delved down, his fear was, as the CEO, I am responsible for putting the food on the table for these families on a Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, and the rest of the week. Do I believe I can have that power to give them food, and should they trust me? And that was a self-growth trap. And working through that and belief in himself as a CEO then allowed him to grow the business. And it's often things as deep as that hold us back.
So like a primal fear, basically, that he would let down people and they would suffer as a result.
And his passion was he wanted to serve people. So yes, he could not bear to let people down and let their families suffer when they've trusted in him. And so that is working through that. And maybe Chris or Guy, you've had similar experiences.
Well, we'll chat about that later. With you at the moment, so we've got personal development, which we see as an investment in ourselves, in our business, because we have a long-term vision. What's the other key component of these 4 ways of expanding your leadership from your perspective, Peter?
So there's that awareness of choice, awareness and choice. So knowing your toolkit, your strategic tools to shape the way your business is going. You've got to have some standard business skills like understanding cash flow, understanding profit, understanding sales, understanding marketing. So you've got to have those business skills. And also, I think there's that curiosity to see differently. What I've noticed is businesses that make a real difference and real transformation is they take one idea from one space, take an idea from another space, and bring those together. And that's often why people in neurodivergent thinking work so well, because they say, oh, I like that, I like that, I like that. Like, oh, what if I joined batteries and something else together, and then you make a new business?
Yeah.
And so having those insights is vital to see what's happening in other areas. So it might be around nutrition, it might be around psychology, it might be around global trends, and then somewhere in there it's like, I hadn't thought how my product could solve that problem. Let's go and work out that.
Makes a lot of sense. And finally, from your perspective, so we do these conversations, I do these conversations to personalize us to our connections, because I think that really, maybe it's snobbery, but you can tell a lot from people by their voice and by their mannerisms, which you can't tell from a static post. What's your hope from speaking here? What do you want your connections to do?
So I think one thing that I'd love to see connections do is recognize investing in yourself is growing your business. And it's not just, I need to have more employees or I need to get them to do training courses. When we recognize we need to grow ourselves, your business can grow. The second part, and for my background, and other people on the call have different specialities, is that knowing you have your team of specialities around you, somebody with finance, somebody with sales, somebody with marketing, somebody with strategy, and the specialism I have is around commercializing products. So I would love to be in the stable of wise brains for people who want to make a difference with their business, so that they're going to make the difference, and around them there are people like myself, there's people like Guy or Sydney or Chris who are giving different expertise as they need it when they need it.
Okay, so people watching this, connect with Peter, because he can transform your business, and we'll be back after the break. So thanks a lot for watching so far. Cheers.